Hello, this is the Rudy All Fit Health Show. I'm here to talk to you again today. And once again I'm Rudy Lewis, Masters of Public Health, Human Nutrition, Johns Hopkins University, Bloomberg School of Public Health. I'm here again. It's my second episode right here, and I want to talk to you guys about fiber and its importance in the diet. It's a crucial ingredient for to have in your diet. And first, to begin with, I want to talk about the two forms of fiber. See, it comes in it comes in more than two forms, but we kind of generalize things under two categories, whether fiber be insoluble or soluble. Now, our insoluble fibers are things that don't, once it gets into the digestive tract, it doesn't really break down that much. It just absorbs water, and what that can do is add bulk to your stool and soften your stool actually, so it can decrease issues with constipation, diverticulosis, or any pinching of the intestines when you have a good amount of insoluble fiber in your diet. And insoluble fiber mainly comes in the form of cellulose, which is basically the plant cell wall, just long chains of polysaccharides and those sugar molecules that can't be broken down by our body. So long chains of polysaccharides. And you also have lignin, which is like the woody part of seeds, they can't be broken down in the body once again. And you also have some hemicelluloses, which have multiple sugar molecules, so just not glucose molecules, but they also can be long and branched, in different directions. Our body can't break it down, but what happens is in our digestive tract, they do hold on to water, and by holding on to water, like I said, they soften the stool, make it easier to use the bathroom, make you go to the bathroom more often, and also increases the weight of the stool. So basically, it's easier for you to use the bathroom because it's soft, heavier stool that you can push out instead of the drier one. Drier it's sort of nasty, but the drier stool that causes constipation. It doesn't have the water or the fiber in it. All right, so that's mainly the insoluble fibers right there. And so the soluble fibers are things like guar or gum, things that are, we call them guar gums. You also will have the beta glucans from like oats, things like that. And also a major source with the soluble fiber is going to be something like pectin, and so that's on the skin of fruits. And so pectin is really important. So whenever you're eating fruits or vegetables, you really want to make sure you can eat the skin. Eat the skin when you can. It's not always possible. Also eat the pulps and all those things. Try not to throw those away because they have the soluble fiber that can be broken down and or actually it forms a gel inside of the body, inside of the digestive tract, and by forming a gel there, it can bind on to bile acids. It can bind. So basically, when it binds like the bile acids, what it does is it can keep the body from reabsorbing the bile acids. And bile acids, a major part of bile acids is cholesterol. So the body uses cholesterol to make the bile acids, and the bile acids go on to break down fats in your diet. So without bile acids, you would be in trouble. Bile acids are crucial to breaking down fats in the diet. But by insoluble fiber being able to bind to bile acids, so the pectin, the fruit skins, the pectin, the guar gums from like seaweeds. A lot of the guars and the gums, they can come in your fruits and vegetables, but a lot of them are also used in the food processing industry. So if you look at your ice cream, it may have something called carrageen in it, where they're taking seaweed and you adding it. You're taking the ingredient from the seaweed, the guar gum, the fiber, and what it does is sort of thicken the ice cream, but actually keeps ice crystals from forming in ice cream. So you know how ice cream, when it melts down and it freezes again, melts down a little bit, freezes again, you get those ice crystals of the water and the cream and everything separate. And so a lot of those gums are using as texture to improve the texture and the smoothness of different foods. So we find, even in some soft drinks, you may find it. So you find fibers, fiber ingredients in a lot of foods, and they also add some of those insoluble fibers to foods as food supplements, just to increase the fiber content of foods. So you find those in all of your foods, but the main thing with the soluble fibers is it will bind those bile acids in the digestive tract, preventing cholesterol from being reabsorbed. And like I said, cholesterol is part of the bile acids, so the body has to scavenge the arteries for additional cholesterol to make more bile acids. And also the body, believe it or not, your body makes a lot of cholesterol. You always hear you shouldn't eat too much cholesterol, shouldn't have too much cholesterol in your diet, but in actuality your body makes its own cholesterol. And a healthy body makes its own cholesterol. The issue is when you're under a lot of inflammation and things like that, or under disease or stress, you may produce a little bit more than you need, and then that's another reason why you'll get the atherosclerosis and you'll have the high cholesterol level, because your body is under that inflammatory stress, and your body goes on to make more and more cholesterol. So that can be a dangerous part of cholesterol. So that's another reason why insoluble fiber is also important. And also it'll decrease the speed at which we absorb glucose into the body. So after a sugary meal or a starchy meal, having high fiber, high insoluble fiber in your diet can decrease the speed at which glucose enters the bloodstream. And so basically we're talking about decreasing the number of insulin spikes. It'll help with decreasing the risk of diabetes, because you're bringing the sugar into your body slowly, and it won't just be a blitz of sugar coming into the body as if you just drunk a Pepsi, a soda, a Coca-Cola or something like that, or orange soda, whatever. Sweet candy or cakes, all that stuff will cause a really quick increase in your sugar levels. And even grapes can actually cause a quick sugar spike, but actually if you eat the skin with the grapes, it'll help a little bit. And some of the other phytonutrients in the body will help with that sugar rush. And in addition to with the soluble fiber, will also as it forms a gel inside of the body, it'll also like help with cancers and things like that, because the insoluble fiber also can bind a lot of toxins and things in your body that they can cause harm to the digestive tract. So overall, in general, what the combination of the insoluble and soluble fiber will decrease a lot of the chronic diseases that we find ourselves plagued with, especially here in America, where the risk of chronic disease is increasing. Also, actually around the world, chronic disease is increasing. So when you look at fiber in its totality, it will decrease cardiovascular risk, coronary heart disease. And with those two conditions, how it does it is mainly the insoluble fiber forming that gel. Decreasing cholesterol levels is really important. By decreasing that cholesterol in the blood and throughout the body, you can decrease the risk of atherosclerosis and everything. So that's really important. And in terms of diabetes, as I mentioned, slowing the speed at which the sugars entering the body and causing those sugar spikes, and putting the pancreas under stress where it has to produce so much insulin in such a little bit of time. By slowing that down, by decreasing postprandial glucose, it helps a lot. And also with weight loss. Now, because fiber causes that bulk, and it doesn't add to your caloric load or whatever, because we don't really absorb it. We just take it into the body, and it soaks up water. And like I said, the soluble fiber will form the gel. We don't take it in as calories. So, and it adds a lot of bulk. It takes up a lot of weight. So basically, we're satisfied faster when we eat highly fibrous foods. When we eat those foods, it helps with satiety. We're not as hungry. So we eat less food. So you eat a big salad, a big spinach salad, a big bowl of oatmeal. You're full, but you haven't taken in a lot of calories that'll add to your weight. And as I mentioned, it'll just add a lot of different benefits to your health. And also, eating a high fiber diet will decrease your risk of cancer. And when you talk about cancer, we're talking mainly about the colon cancers, and also the pancreatic cancers. It probably also help with decreasing gallbladder stones, because if you're really binding up a lot of the cholesterol that your body is releasing to the digestive tract, and you're not sucking it back in, well, we can decrease those cholesterol levels from building up inside of the liver and the gallbladder, forming stones and other issues from our fatty diets and everything. So by increasing fiber and really turning over those bile acids, we can decrease the risk of developing gallbladder stones. But most importantly, one of the most important things is decreasing the risk of colon cancer. And pancreatic cancer, which is one of the most lethal forms of cancer out there. It's hard to survive that. I mean, you saw Steve Jobs suffer from pancreatic cancer, and the pancreatic cancer, when you get that condition, you really have serious issues with digestion, blood sugar control, all those things, because the pancreas releases those digestive enzymes that break down the fats and help break down the proteins and sugars in your diet. So without that pancreas working properly, you have issues with digestion and absorption of vitamins, minerals, and macromolecules, carbohydrates, fats, proteins. And without that, I mean, it's extremely hard to survive that. And in terms of the research, there's been a lot of research out there that's proven that or research and support that fiber will decrease mortality. And just to mention a few studies, one study by Berenice et al. Was a umbrella review of meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis, when they take a group of studies and analyze them as one, sort of, so you can get a large population of people. And so what an umbrella review of meta-analysis is when they take meta-analysis and sort of do another meta-analysis. And so with this meta-analysis, they found that increase in fiber intake was associated with decreased risk of cardiovascular disease, coronary heart disease, diabetes, and also cancer, all causes of most types of cancers. So it really shows, when you take that many people, that many studies, and it shows that there's really a trend with increasing fiber intake. And there was another study by Kim et al. Where they reviewed prospective studies. And these are studies where you get a cohort of people and you look at them over several years. I mean, in this case, it was about, I think it was 6 or 7 years. And so these studies can look and see what form. So you basically look into the future. You look into the future, sort of. So basically, you take people all at the same time, and you look at them over some time period, and you monitor their diet. Well, you get a survey of their diet and see what they're eating and see what people develop, what diseases, and what habits do they have, what foods do they eat, how often do they exercise. And that's why a prospective study is good, because you're not looking at them at one time point, you're looking at the group over a period of time. So these studies have a lot of variety. You can look at these studies as being able to dictate or kind of show what lifestyle patterns are associated with what health outcomes. And so with that meta-analysis of prospective studies, they looked at over 1.5 million people about, and they found that increasing your fiber intake or eating a high fiber diet, or those who ate more fiber, were less likely to develop or less likely to die or experience mortality from cardiovascular disease, coronary heart disease, diabetes, and also cancer. All causes of mortality, many causes of mortality are the most important ones. And in the U.S. it would be cancer and cardiovascular disease. And so increasing your fiber intake will decrease the risk of these. And another study was conducted by Kunzman et al. And what they looked at is it was a prospective study in this case, and they found that increasing your fiber intake over 6 to 7 years or so, they found that increase in fiber intake is associated with decreased distal adenomas or distal cancers in the colon. And so they found out it wasn't associated with recurrent adenomas or so people who already had the cancer or had growths in the colon, they didn't experience benefit from increasing the fiber in their diet at that point. So basically, it's showing that over a long period of time, if your diet is pretty high in fiber, or you're getting a good amount of fiber, that you have a decreased risk of getting developing colon cancer. But once you already have it, then it's really hard to keep yourself from having recurrent adenomas or tumors forming in the colon. So it's really important to really start early and try to have a good amount of fiber in your diet. So those are a few studies, and there was one more study I wanted to talk about where they looked at high fiber diet being associated with decrease in C-reactive protein. And C-reactive protein is associated with a chronic state of inflammation in the body. So when people have chronic inflammation and things going on in the body where it's inflammation is forming, you'll see a high level of C-reactive protein. So basically, with those people, you know something's going on in the body that's not good for them when that C-reactive protein is high and there's a steady state of inflammation. So high C-reactive protein is associated with a number of chronic diseases and cancer, diabetes, and those things. So you really want to keep the level of that down. And when people are consuming high amounts of fiber or suitable amounts, in the human diet, they find that C-reactive protein is much lower in those people. So, and like I said, those are C-reactive protein associated with several chronic diseases. So you want to keep that amount of C-reactive protein low as possible. And so now I just want to talk to you. I brought a few foods here that I brought a few foods. Well, basically just oatmeal products. Really, oatmeal is a really important food fiber source. Can be a really important fiber source. And this is right here. We got these packets of instant oatmeal right here. Now, instant oatmeal is not the best source of fiber you can get. It's high sugar in here, but you can get 3 grams of your fiber in something like this right here in a little packet of instant oatmeal, but it's also pretty high in sugar. So if you were to choose this as a food to eat, you want to make sure you add some cinnamon to it and maybe add some berries like blueberries, strawberries, or raspberries. Or raspberries are actually a really good source of fiber also, but see, the berries and the cinnamon can actually decrease the speed at which glucose is entering the cells and throughout the body. So this can prevent those sugar spikes and kind of decrease the stress that your pancreas is on to produce insulin to get that sugar into the cells. So if you're going to eat something like this, which is a good fiber source but actually pretty high in the sugar, you want to make sure add cinnamon, add some berries to that to try to, because they have different chemicals and phytochemicals that'll sort of decrease that sugar rush. But it's even better if you're going to eat the oatmeal product, to eat something like these old-fashioned oats right here. These are still pretty quick oats right here, but with these you actually get, per serving, 1/2 cup, you get actually 4 grams of fiber, so you get even more than in an instant oatmeal. And in an instant oatmeal, it's processed to the degree where they even have to add fiber back into the product. So in this form right here, it's more of it in this natural form, and you can get the beta glucan from oats, which is an important form of soluble fiber, but you also get insoluble fiber. So that's the really good thing about eating whole foods, is you get both the soluble and insoluble fiber, so you get the benefits from both eating those foods instead of taking a supplement where you might just get the soluble fiber or the insoluble. So if you take something like psyllium husk or something like that, you probably won't get as much of both types of fibers. So, and also you won't get the nutrients, the phytochemicals, and everything that comes with the fiber. And like I said, in most cases, whole foods work best in their whole form. And so with these oats right here, you're going to get 4 grams. And as far as what we need per day, how much fiber we need per day, if you're a male under 50, you're going to need about 38 grams. Females under 50 need about 31, and well, actually, for females under 50, at least 25, probably 25 to 30. And for males over 50 years old, about 31. And for females over 50 years old, 21 grams of fiber. So if you take, if you were to eat, so sometimes I may eat 3 packets of this fiber, right, of this oatmeal right here, I would get 9 grams. And then if I have my smoothie, which has kale and mangoes, maybe pineapple, I could really get up to 15 to 20 grams in just my breakfast. So I get a lot of my fiber early on. With this is even better, 4 grams, less sugar. And if you eat 1 serving of this, or 1.5, it may be 8 grams of fiber, but like I said, more in the whole form than would be with this instant oatmeal right here. So these are some sources of oatmeal that I may take in. But basically, with the fiber, and I know some of you guys will want to increase your fiber intake, but you want to make sure that you do that gradually over a month or so. You don't want to just go out tomorrow and just start increasing your fiber intake, because you have bacteria in your gut that aren't used to breaking down that much fiber, which is it's another important thing that a high fiber diet will do, will support the healthy gut bacteria in your stomach, so in your intestines really. So you want to make sure to increase your fiber intake, but not too fast, so the gut bacteria can adjust to it, because if your fiber is not already pretty high in fiber, which the average American is consuming about 15 grams of fiber per day. So about half of what they need, 15 to 14. So half of the fiber that they need. And so the gut microbiome isn't used to that. If you just rush out tomorrow and eat a whole bunch of fiber, you could get gastrointestinal issues, a lot of gas, a lot of bloating. So you want to do that slowly, and you also want to make sure you're getting enough water, at least 4 cups per day. Along with your food. Your food is going to have some water in it, and other beverages you drink. But try to get at least 4 cups of water. Some people will argue for 8. I think that may not be needed for everybody. 4 to 6 is probably a good range, but you need to have water for the fiber to absorb and to move through the system. If you're not getting any water, you still probably have those intestinal issues. But if you're eating the highly fibrous foods, they come with a good amount of water. A lot of the fruits and vegetables are mainly water, so that will help in the start. And try, like I said, try to get whole foods intact, and that'll help you out a lot. And just one more thing, with the different types of fiber, you may not be able to eat all of them. Some people have issues with broccoli, some people have issues with cauliflower. Some of the foods may need to be cooked in order for them to gel well with your body. I mean, you know yourself best. Asparagus could pose issues, onions, because these all have these illegal saccharides, or basically these different chains of sugars that we may have trouble digesting. Even some of the sugar-free gums have different sugars in them that your body can't break down, but support healthy bacteria and things, and that may cause issues in the gut for some people. And so you may not be able to eat all forms of fiber, but try to make sure you get a lot of fiber in your diet, and try to get fiber intact. Try to eat whole grains. If you eat grains, try to eat 100% whole wheat, because if it just says whole wheat, it'll have all 3 parts of, say, a grain molecule, which is made up of the shaft, the bran, the outside. You also have the germ, which has some healthy vitamins, some fats in it, and you also have the endosperm, is what most of us eat. It's like what you find in white bread is that endosperm, that starchy endosperm, which has some proteins in it, but it's mainly a lot of starch molecules, mainly sugar. So when you eat the white bread, they take away the bran and the germ. You want to make sure you're getting 100% whole wheat bread. And in studies, the part of the type of fiber that showing the best results in terms of better health is whole wheat. Whole wheat, 100. Whole wheat products, cereal grains. Like raisin bran, for instance. Those type of grains and brands are showing the best results in studies in terms of decreasing risk of chronic disease mortality. So that's sort of weird, because the soluble fiber, the beta glucans from oats, and the pectins and things like that, you figure they would show the best results in terms of decreasing chronic disease risk, because it'll bind up so many of the bile acids and the cholesterol. But actually, the cereal grains that are showing the best results so far. So so that's mainly all that I really wanted to talk to you about. And just the stress, to increase that fiber. You're gonna have a healthy microbiome. Those bacteria in your guts, they can form vitamins. They also break down the fiber and form short chain fatty acids like butyric acid, and these are all associated with increasing the gut health. They help you absorb some of the minerals that fiber usually bind up some of your minerals, actually. But if you're taking diverse types of fiber, you're eating whole foods, it won't really significantly decrease your intake of, say, your calcium, your magnesium, your iron, your zinc. In some cases, when you're taking the fiber supplement, it will bind up those minerals. Like I said, but if you take food in its whole form, you have nothing to worry about. You'll get the proper minerals and vitamins, everything you need, and you'll have a healthy gut bacteria. So that's it, guys. Until next time, I just really wanted to clear that up, get that fiber out there, how important it is. It's crucial. It's one of those food ingredients where you don't absorb it, but it has so many powerful effects on the human body. So, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.